Hello friends, so over the last 3 weeks I've been working on EOOS, and for those who are not familiar with it, it's the Email Outreach Operative System, which essentially is a tool that has different systems to build email campaigns, each with different features and procedures. Now, I was at the stage in which I had to build the actual engine, so the core software that orchestrates everything. And I have not only built it once, but twice. Because the first version, which actually took me 2 weeks to build, ended up being pretty bad. I was not satisfied at all with the build. It was not user friendly. I wasn't feeling comfortable using it, nor did it look good from the design perspective, which has no importance given that I am the only one using it, but the eye still wants its part. So it was a tough decision, but after a little bit more than 2 weeks actually of working on it, I decided to start again from scratch. And it ended up being a good decision because the one that I built now over the last few days is actually much more simple and effective. I also enjoy using it much more than the other, even if it has less features. But this actually is probably why I like it more, because let me tell you something about vibe coding. So the first version, I built it by starting with the initial version already including a lot of features. So the initial prompt that generated it was significantly longer, it was very detailed, and then I found myself with this product that is already um, a complex build, and I had to figure it out, but it's not the way to go at all with vibe coding from what I have learned. Because in the second run, I started much smaller. I just asked it to build one pipeline, then the next, then the UI, so the design, how it looks, and going step by step when vibe coding gives you a better understanding of what you're doing. Everything is much clearer, and the path forward maybe a little bit slower at the beginning, but it's much smoother and you don't have to go back again and again. So this is the primer thing that I did differently from the first to the second build, and it made a big difference. Now let me show you the comparison between the two, because you will understand pretty quickly as well. This is the dashboard of the first email outreach operative system that I built, and I don't dislike it from the design perspective at all here, but let's get into one of the campaigns so you will grasp better. For example, in this one. So already these buttons at the top kinda piss me off because they just look like they've been thrown there since I haven't found a better place to put them. And then we proceed with everything else. So for example, we have the pipeline here, and that showcases the status of the current campaign. Then on the right side, we have the results of the scrape that has occurred, and we proceed with everything else, like the feature to add prospects, or on the right side, the management of the email infrastructure, because the provider that I am using to send the emails and manage the campaigns is instantly.ai. So we have all of that stuff here as well. Then target definition on the left again, offer, and agent voice and tone. This is just the first page, then it proceeds with all of the prospects here and replies here. Then there's also a bunch of other pages up here, because as you can see, there is all of the replies that are gathered in this page across all the different campaigns. Then there is the meetings here that have been booked. Now, obviously, these are just fake entries because I haven't booked any meeting yet. Then there is the health status of the software that is just a mess. I don't even really understand it. Then there is the accounting page, and finally the settings. So, I mean, if you see this for the first time and you have never seen a vibe coded tool before, it might look fine to you. And most people, actually, most vibe coders in the space would actually even use it. But to me, it was just a no. I can do something much more clearer. The, I can do it much more user friendly. I can enjoy using it more. So that's when I decided to screw this one and went with a completely new build that I'm going to show you now. Here it is. Now, the first impact may be, Samuel, what the fuck are you talking about? It looks much worse. Well, no, because I made it look like this kind on purpose. I wanted it to look not old school, but I hate when a tool or even just a website that has been built with AI screams vibe coded. Therefore, I really like the aspect of this software right here. Now, as you can see, we already have a much clearer header. There's just new campaign, campaigns, and inbox. Let's get, for example, into this campaign here. And it just makes me breathe much more than the one I showed you before. Everything is clearer. There's not a ton of features here. It just shows the most important stats. It has another feature that I didn't even build in the previous campaign, which is screen prospects, because in this specific pipeline we need to do so because sometimes using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, some prospects appear in the campaign that have nothing to do with the target. Then we have the opportunity to add more people here, and then just the list of leads. That said, these 4 replies that you see here are actually real because I launched it yesterday. So yesterday I launched for the first time the EOOS campaign through its own system. And let me show you what prospects actually got back to me with. Now, I sent out 60 emails because the email campaign limit is 60 a day to avoid getting my email accounts flagged to then end up in spam, which we don't really want. So that said, it's a 6.6% reply rate up to, until now, which is above the industry average. It's a very good number. And here's what people said. So 2 replies are actually just automated, and because one is an AI agent here handling the inbox for that prospect, and another one is just a out of office notice. And the 2 human ones are this one that is literally just stop because it just wasn't something in its interest. And the second guy, Don here, said, I'm already doing this exact thing with a cluster of agents working together across several platforms. And then he went on a little bit explaining what he's doing more in detail. So it was a very polite refusal. That said, today the campaign is obviously going to proceed. It has in total 319 prospects in it. I hope to land at least one meeting with it. But the main thing is testing out the copy that I am using, so that I can adjust then in future campaigns. Now, the way this specific pipeline works, because no, actually, let me show you the different systems because I have built 2 up until now. So if I go on new campaign, the first thing that I have to pick is which system to go with. Now, the first one is Maps and Email Finder instantly. So I scrape businesses from Google Maps and then find a decision maker of those businesses based on the domain that I can get out of Google Maps. And then I just throw them into instantly, and there's not much else to do about it because there's no personalization, unlike in the second system that is the one I actually used in the campaign I launched yesterday and I just showed you. Because this one works with Sales Navigator, so I scrape leads from LinkedIn essentially. Then I have AI generate a personalized icebreaker, so a personalized opener for each prospect that he is going to read in its email, and only then I'm going to push it to instantly. So this allows us to have a much higher open rate and, even more importantly, reply rate, because it actually shows that I've done the research. It's not a copy paste email, but essentially AI did everything and the pipeline is responsible for the whole personalization. So it's a very interesting system. And it's working fairly well. Now we don't have any concrete results yet, but once replies start getting in, it's just a matter of time until we're going to get the right one. So you may have noticed that there is way less features on the second build than on the first, and I have done that on purpose. For example, there is no opportunity to directly manage the settings of a specific email campaign because that part is kept separate on instantly. Therefore, I go on the provider's software and change those things directly from there. I decided to do so for now because otherwise there was a great risk to run into the same problem that I had with the first build, which was too many features built together, causing a mess and ending up with me not liking the software, how it looks, nor to use it. Therefore, I may decide to build it further, so to include more features in the future once I really feel like it's required, because it's an efficiency problem to not have them there. But up until now, this is how I am going to roll. That said, make sure to subscribe because I really have a feeling that this is going somewhere.